Hello everyone, hope you're all well and ready to watch me do another time-lapsed colored pencil drawing. So a quick background overview of this drawing as we get started on the dog's face here. This dog is my sister's dog named Hank. He was a mixed breed, I believe. This was a photo my mom had wanted me to do of him in front of the fireplace for some time now for my sister's husband. And we had talked about adding this to my artwork I was going to enter into their local county fair. And for those who don't know, here in the US, we have yearly fairs for each county in different states. They have rides, vendors, and all the such. This county in particular lets outside county residencies enter artwork at their fair. So I decided this would be a great way to surprise my sister's husband with this drawing during the fair. And by the way, by this time this video comes out, hopefully it was a great success. Anyway, if you want to see photos from the fair, please visit my Facebook page with the link in the description, or you can just search CJG Fine Art on Facebook. I also do have a web page as well, and link will be down in the description. Now that you guys have a little backstory to the drawing, let's get back to what I am drawing. So I chose to start with our main focus, Hank the dog. When I first started doing portrait drawings, I would leave the eyes for last, but now I do them first. There's a level of realism that helps you when you do the eyes first, brings life in the drawing, and it helps remind me to stay light with my hand, especially around the face and muzzle area. I gently layered the dark colors on his face and blocked in the lighter colors, making sure I got only the direction of fur correct, but also the contours of his face. Making lighter layers also allows you to build in different values of color of what you may see. So in this fur, I saw black, brown, gold, yellow, white, maroon, and some peach colors. If you're ever unsure how colors will interact with each other, either pull out the color wheel or a scrap piece of paper. I usually like using excess paper to see how my color pencils layer mix with other colors and with other brands too. Sometimes one black colored pencil might not be the same color as another. So like it might have some more brown and black or have some more blue in it, some more black, lol. So what I mean by that is how much of that brown or blue was used to make that colored pencil. For example, Prisma's black colored pencil is more blue, in my opinion, but the Derwent ChromaFlow colored pencil is a bit muted, appearing more brown and gray. So each colored pencil is considered black, but you may start to notice those slight differences between brands in your colored pencil journey. So therefore, I use scrap paper from the same paper I'm drawing on to see which color or brand pencil works best for me or for that one instance in time. As we continue to finish up around the face, you will see me use some warm grays and cool colors. So these can be your best friend when it comes to lighter colored areas. I will usually layer white or cream first on the paper, and then use those types of grays on top. Because I layered with a lighter color underneath, I have a greater chance that I can use my X-Acto knife to scrape away any top layers to create a fur texture from underneath. So imagine you layered white and then you have a nice solid, just like, you don't have to burnish the white into your paper, but then you can have a couple layers of gray or darker colors on top before you blend with Minter Spirits or anything. Then you can use your X-Acto knife to kind of scrape away a little bit and create some fur texture. Is it going to be pure white? No. So if you have a thicker coarse fur, using an embossing tool to make gentle line indents before using your darker colors will also help create a gap for the lighter color underneath to sit there while you use your darker color on top. So like the darker colored pencil should go over those little gaps that you made with your embossing tool. For this drawing, I did not need to use the embossing tool, but I did make sure to leave the lighter areas light and then gently touch up around the fur with my darker colors. The neck area had a longer fur, and I simply used those same colors that I used on the face and continued them downward in the direction of the fur. While I work on the next sections of the dog, you will see me use a paintbrush. I prefer to use a paintbrush with mineral spirits for fur texture than a paper stump. I usually use mineral spirits to help blend or help spread colors in a larger amount of area. Since black takes a while to layer on white paper, this saved me a lot of time. I've also noticed that after using mineral spirits on dark colors, I can use a lighter color on top to make small textures. This is a reminder though, these colors will not be bright. They will appear muted, which is what I like because it's as if they are kind of like self-adjusting to the darker color underneath. But if you want pure white or need the lighter color to be quote unquote bright, then make sure you plan ahead. Do not use mineral spirits over light areas you have already layered properly. You will not be able to scrape away or erase your colored pencil after you use mineral spirits. Think of mineral spirits as bleeding the color into the fabric of the paper. Once the paper is dyed, that's it, unless you burn a hole through the paper. But just be careful and have a plan. It helps to go ahead and layer with light colors around your dark colors before you use the mineral spirits. Wipe your brush or paper stump off of excess mineral spirits as you only need very little to blend. Again, you can play with this on your scrap piece of paper to see how the colors and wax respond before trying it out on your finished piece. Continuing to the main body, I add layers with mineral spirits to get the dark colors such as black, indigo, and burnt umber to layer on top of each other because I'm not going to lie again, the black takes a lot of time to layer on white. Okay, so the indigo was used on areas closer to the lighter color fur, and the burnt umber was used when the fur appeared to have a brown look to it. Not all black dogs are just solid black. They reflect their surroundings, so just keep an eye out for those reflections and what you feel works best for the certain areas of that fur. So I prepped the lighter areas with a white or lighter cream before I layered the dark layers around it, so then when I went back in with my mineral spirits, the two colors gently blended together near the edges while leaving the lighter color layer for last. And as you see me going in here, I do have another tool I use. I have it right here. It's called the Finesse or Fineness Colored Pencil Blending Pen. It is specifically helped to blend the wax-based colored pencils. If you have an oil-based colored pencil, it will not work, or like a watercolor, it's not going to work. It's just for wax-based. Now, there is kind of an odor to it, so I would not get too close while using this on your paper, but it's gentle. But I do use this for like maybe smaller, very minute detail areas that I just can't quite get blended out, that this helps a lot. So it's called Finesse, Finesse. And I honestly found it, I think at Hobby Lobby by chance, and it's a double tip. It's like a brush tip on one side and then the kind of a stump tip on the other side. Like it's a slim stump tip, fine tip, I guess is what it's called. So referring back to the dog here, Hank, is his name, Hank, you can see I have the dark colors, the blacks. You'll see me use that indigo on kind of more areas tucked up underneath his body. You'll see me use maybe a little bit of burnt umber here and there. And I'm going in the direction of the fur, so you gotta be careful. So like the belly fur, kind of comes down through his waist, curves in a little bit towards his tummy, but then his leg fur, it has like this kind of pull up over his, I'm assuming, I'm not really good with dog anatomy, kind of knee area, and then it curves down around his hindquarters towards the back of his hock. If that's what you call it on dogs too, just like horses. Anyway, so referring back to the body, when doing the whole body of any subject, especially one with fur or hair, make sure you follow the direction of fur even in your first couple of layers. This will really help create the texture and 3D effect of your drawing. And then if you struggle even with your reference photo with fur direction, practice perspective drawings. Then use that same method and draw fur or hair texture to those drawings. So like circles, ovals, triangles, squares are great shapes to get started with. If you're unsure about perspective drawings, try just drawing a simple 2D shape and try to match the fur with how you'd imagine the fur to wrap around that shape. Looking up other references of a similar subject can help as well. I'd recommend sticking with 1 to 2 point perspective first, then advancing to 3-point perspective. Our world is 3-point perspective, but to help train the eye for depth and shape, I definitely start with 1 to 2-point perspective before advancing to 3-point. Looking at the legs here, it's again, it's really important because the fur doesn't go straight down the legs like how we kind of imagine. There is some of them do go straight, but as you can see here on Hank's paw, it's kind of turned a little bit to the outside. It's not facing forward. So his skin itself is a little bit twisted. So that fur is going to twist around, right? So I layered in some lighter colors, probably a white, the light cream, and then I gently layered in with probably some French gray and a lighter brown to get the texture in first, and then I went on top with some blacks, and then now I'm going in touching up around the paw area, cleaning up some areas. You might see me grab my X-Acto knife to kind of maybe clean up some areas that I would rather like to see more texture with. I do know I pull out the mineral spirits for the legs and his belly area. And I just take my time making sure I get all of those fur textures right. In the photo as well, I remember I couldn't tell if his tail was sending, like sometimes dogs like to sit on top of their tail, and I honestly could not tell if Hank here was sitting on top of his tail or if that was something else down there. And so when you come to those parts, if you don't want to draw color in the private parts, you can kind of just add like a fur texture over them. So, I mean, if that's what your drawing wants to be, that's fine. It's part of the animal, but I just couldn't tell and I didn't want it to make it look awkward, so I just fluffed up his area down there. It was just so weird because it was like really towards the bottom, like underneath of him, and I was like, that could be his tail. Wasn't sure. So I just kind of blended it all nicely and just added further. That was about it. And then that belly area, I definitely had the cool gray, that dark gray, the black, the indigo, and the dark umber. Those colors really help rich the black up. So it's not just like this really flat black looking color. Going on to the other leg here, you can see, so yeah, I did use that yellow cream color, and I believe, let me open up my drawer here. I can give you guys an exact name. I'm pretty sure it's cream. Yeah, it's literally just cream from the Prismacolor. And I do know I used beige as well, and a peach beige. Bronze, I used bronze a lot on some of the tanner looking parts, markings on his body. I was thinking about going to go get a couple pencils from the Caran d'Ache for, just like a couple browns and blacks, like the typical fur coat colors you see in animals, because I kind of want to get a feel for them. And I know I had gotten a couple out of an art box my other sister had gotten me for Christmas or my birthday, and I liked the feel of them because it was like they were soft, but yet they still held their shape, unlike Prismas. Like Prismas are a very soft wax base and like they're smooth, right? But I really prefer a almost like the Caran d'Ache. I mean, it was like soft, but yet they held their shape, and you can still do pressure without the pencil like running out of color and wax material. So I was thinking about it, but hopefully here soon, maybe later this year, I'll go get a couple of those. I don't want like a whole set because I don't know where to put it yet in my room. But I think I might get some of those. I think it might help just texture-wise train me to get a little bit better fur texture in some of my portrait drawings, but to each their own. So, but anyway, off my little rant, moving on to finishing up the paws, I begin to add in the rug area. Okay, so let's talk about this rug. So once again, just look at the texture of the rug before slapping down color. Is it long and rough rug, or are there tread marks? Is it a fluffy rug? Is it stringy? Is there stuff on the rug? Does it look dirty? And then ask yourself these questions before deciding what color you need. Then, as you develop the texture of the rug, and then the colors you want to begin, you layer those on top with your values. So be mindful of the patterns. Though, again, side note, you do not have to be 110% accurate with the patterns of the rug if you choose not to. Keep them relatively simple if you do choose to put patterns in there. So our brains as onlookers to art pieces will fill in the blanks of the artwork. As realism artists, we are simply recreating a world on a surface to capture a moment or feeling that we hope will resonate with others. Art is a shared medium. As artists, we love to share our creations with others. And as an artist, do you have any specific goals that you have for yourself when you create art? I know mine is not only to feel accomplished with what I create, but also learn, enjoy, relax, and help inspire others to feel something when they look at my drawings. Everyone's reaction to art can be different. How each one of us creates art can be different. Even when we share the same reference photo, our completed pieces will be different from each other. So just enjoy the process and take your time. Let me talk about this rug a little bit more. So, with the design on this rug, I wasn't 110% accurate like I was talking about earlier, but I still wanted the patterns on the rug to still represent more closely to what I saw in the picture. I haven't seen this rug in person, so I did my best with what I could visually see. Now, the colors ranged from like light blues to tans to like the cream and whites, browns, and then there was some shading on it too from where not only where the dog was sitting, but like I think there was a window somewhere, and then you also have like the fireplace too. So you have to kind of keep in mind that the rug itself is not going to be one cohesive color scheme all the way through. You're going to have some different variant colors with it. So keep that in mind. And then keep in mind also, like I was talking about, the tracking of the carpet. So like maybe people's footprints or something was on there, or like maybe the dog had maybe done a couple circles and then sat down there. So maybe you could see that. So just look at that, and if you really want to go high detail on the carpet, I try to keep the carpet texture in there. Basically, I did a lot of really light swirls, and then my darker colors, I kind of went in and just kind of dabbled a little bit here and there. I did use some mineral spirits that helped blend some of the darker colors. Honestly, the mineral spirits just really help you save time. But if you like the texture that your colored pencil is creating on the paper, don't use mineral spirits, just keep layering. Now, if you feel like you want mineral spirits, again, you'll have that scrap piece of paper off to the side. Do spend like a couple minutes just trying to figure out if you want to use mineral spirits or not. See the difference. And if you like the one without mineral spirits, then don't use mineral spirits for the rug or whatever texture you're trying to create. The the challenging part with this rug was trying to not add too much detail to it because the main focus was not the rug, it was the dog and of course the fireplace in the back. But it all kind of tied together once I got it done. Another thing that I kept in mind when I was doing this was I went past my framing markers. So like this was an 11 by 14, but I came in on the edges by at least an inch or more for how big I wanted the mat to be. So like I made sure the majority of my picture wasn't going to be the entire 11 by 14. It actually came in on the size. But I did color up to and around some of those areas just in case I was either a little off center or if I wanted a smaller mat. The other thing too is like if you color a little bit past where you want to matte, when they go matte, either you or your buyer, customer, is going to go matte it, that they have something to kind of hide underneath. It just helps, so just in case there's like no weird like little gap of missing colored pencil when they go matte, because then they'll have to kind of make a bigger mat, but then what if it covers up something else that is important to them just because you accidentally forgot to color in this little gap? And trust me, I've done it maybe once or twice when I first starting out like my own drawings, and I've learned very quickly that even though you map out an area where you want your mat to be, you got to color up and to a little bit over it. I would always say do at least a fourth of an inch past where you kind of really want it to be if you're doing like a full background drawing. Now, if you're doing like a portrait drawing and it's just like you kind of have the size already and you've already have an idea how big the mat's going to be, just make sure that your drawing actually doesn't reach each edge of the mat unless that's a specific thing. It looks really nice and neat when the drawing itself kind of fits centered in the frame. So but just some heads up when you start doing some of your drawings like this, especially when you do backgrounds. You can also do kind of like a faded out look to it too. So you don't have to be completely detailed all the way to the edges. Maybe you kind of just continue, like for when you see me do the stone here a little bit, you'll kind of see me just kind of continue some of that stone work just off to the side. Or like um, underneath when I was doing the flooring, I kind of just continued that flooring. Even though it wasn't in the picture, I just continued it a little bit further than what it was. So hopefully that helps you guys in prepping for your backgrounds whenever you do them. So now I believe I'm getting close to the stone masonry work in the back, and then I'm going to talk about that. As I continue to work on the back fireplace with all the stone masonry work, I could tell that each of the stones had a slight variant in color, but they were similar in texture. One key takeaway from doing any masonry work is to have those varying colors and sizes, but yet similar, so we can trick the brain into believing that they are the same kind of rock. Again, just pay close attention to your reference photo. You may come across a time where two different rock species are together. With that being said, the only different rock I saw in this photo was the top layer where the fireplace and trash can sat. All the other stones appeared to be similar to each other. Some colors I remember using were grays, white, lime, light purple, light blue, cool grays, French grays, light brown, green orchid, and the vert green. I think those might be the same color. Bronze, slate gray, peach, and occasionally black. My goal was to keep the masonry as organic as possible, as to the stone's faces were not smoothed out and they didn't brick lay them, quote unquote. So that there's this like organic like texture to them. You can get you can kind of see that texture with the little stones. They fit into the smaller spaces, or stones that were not cut square or rectangle. I did use some mineral spirits to help blend the stones out. And again, remember, when using mineral spirits, you only need very little to blend with. I also didn't want the whole texture of the stones to be completely smoothed out with the mineral spirits, so I used it sparingly. I typically started with a layer of white or lighter cream/blue for the first layer, then I created the bumps or the little divots with the grays or brown to map out the stone's texture. Then I went in with whatever color I saw for that particular stone to complete its look, along with sparingly using mineral spirits to help blend here and there. Towards the end, I went back through and cleaned up some line work for the stones and fireplaces with a darker colored pencil, whether it be the cool gray or maybe a hint of black here and there. With all that being said, I'm going to let this play for a couple minutes and then I'll get back with you guys here shortly. Okay, so at some point you will see me do the frame photo in the corner, the left side, and that is just an accent piece. It is in the reference photo. We talked about taking it out, but we didn't. And I thought that it would add a little bit something to the drawing to help with kind of bringing a sense of like this is like family time or like a family room to the drawing. And it's also too far away to really add too much detail with it. So perhaps potentially someone who looks at it might maybe imagine their own kids or their own family there, just kind of like a sense of like a warmth, comfort feeling. So that's why I kept it in there. But or you could theme it like maybe it's like, hey, I don't want that picture in there. I would like to put some pumpkins or something there because the fireplace is on. Maybe it was during the fall time or the winter time. Maybe put like pine cones there, like little, like one of those little fake Christmas trees. But but again, I just kind of wanted it to keep it there to get that sense of like a family room, like a warm family room. Anyway, on to the fireplace. So the fireplace was fun to do. I layered white and yellow colors down in the background before going in with my blacks and browns and my indigo color. I mapped out the burning logs and the log holder. I layered in some oranges and bronze colors on the flames and the walls inside the fireplace. Then once I got enough layers on, I did my first round of blending with mineral spirits. I did go back and I kind of rinsed and repeated this a couple more times until I got the solid color that I was looking for. So towards the end, I went through and touched up areas with more orange, yellows, and some reds for the flames, and then I continued this process until I achieved what I was looking for. Anyway, so as I finish up this drawing, I hope that this talk over was helpful in any way to you guys. I enjoyed making this art piece and video. My other series for watercolor paintings has been a little slow, but I hope to get some videos made in the future for that. And once again, thank you all for watching. Go out there, make something, and I'll see you next time. Bye.